Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Milburn, editor of the MSP Channel Insights portfolio, and today I'm joined by Niall from TopSec. So to start, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company?
Hi, yeah, I'm Niall Mackey from TopSec Cloud Solutions, and we are email security specialists. So everything from your domain, DNS management, DMARC compliance, through gateway security, and most recently, kind of our most popular product now actually is our plugin to Microsoft 365 via the Graph API, doing real-time remediation of email threats for all 365 customers. So that's basically us. We've been going about 20 odd years, and we work through the channel, and hence why we're talking to yourself.
Fantastic. So why should email security still be a cornerstone service for MSPs today? And how can providers differentiate beyond kind of built-in protections in platforms like Microsoft 365?
Yeah, well, see, there's so many new threats out there, and new solutions, and there's all these new services that are out there. But email is still the main vector of attack
Right.
for all threats that actually result in compromises of organizations. And like it's 90, I think it's still around 90% of all of them, all those compromises originate through an email. And people kind of forget that, and they think, oh, well, we have Microsoft, we have Defender, we have E5 or E3, whatever, and that's going to be enough. And it's just not. And even Microsoft themselves have opened up their the Graph API to people like ourselves, and are opening it further to actually even have shared quarantine areas, because they know that the only real way to guarantee any really good level of email security is to have layered, like a Swiss cheese type approach. Like so, and that's why we play very well with Microsoft, and we add and augment the security there a lot. And for partners, it's obviously making their customers much more secure, but they're also, it's a nice revenue stream as well, because people who partner with us, we make sure that they'll make more margin selling our service than any of our competitors. So not only are they keeping their clients safer, they're actually making more money as well. And operationally, we also take a lot of the stress off them as well, because we proactively manage and monitor what's going on. So even though you might have a SOC yourself in the MSP, we'll augment that, and because our guys are experts in that's because it's all we do is email, and we'll contact them and say, look, we're seeing something with one of your customers, we think there's a problem there, and we'll help you resolve it. So and then if they ever need to contact us for support, our support is like 15-minute SLA. Like there's nobody else in the world doing that, and we have a 90% fix rate, remediation rate on first contact. Again, which is, I think it's all because if it's email, it's us. Like that's our thing, and we don't try to do other things. We stick to our knitting, and we're with the email experts.
Yeah. I realized email security was important, but not that. I didn't realize that many threats kind of came through that. So that's really, really important, I guess. So what are kind of the biggest challenges maybe that MSPs face when selling advanced security to SMB customers in particular? And what approaches kind of work best there?
Yeah, so I think it's actually proving to them that they need the services, because budgets are tight, times are tough out there for both the MSPs and their customers. And so like the finance guys were looking at, like, do I really like, again, going back to the Microsoft thing, what Microsoft says they're protecting me, and of course they are to a point, but like it just takes one email to destroy a whole organization. If someone clicks on the wrong email, suddenly a ransomware, and boom. So we help with the messaging with the MSP, so we do lots of kind of case studies and stuff like that. But we can also actually prove it with a no risk scenario. So we do something called a silent assessment. And what that means is literally with 2 or 3 clicks, our MSPs can actually deploy our solution to their customers in a monitoring mode only. So it's like having a free security audit. And then at the end of the period, say a month, 2 months, they can go back to the customer and say, look, you don't have to believe the marketing stuff or the hype and all that and the scaremongering. Here's actual facts. So like this is the stuff that TopSec have found over the last month And if anyone had engaged with any of these pieces of content, you would have actually had a serious issue, or you've actually had an issue here, and you had some data loss and all these kind of things. So it's actually we let them actually have a free assessment, and it proves that they need our service.
Yeah, because then they can see it in practice, like you said, rather than just sort of the
Yeah,
fear mongering.
it's their own data. Yeah.
Yeah. And how important would you say that like DMARC and email authentication is for MSP security stacks? And where do you kind of see partners struggling most with implementing those?
Yeah. Again, especially at the SMB stack, the enterprise level are pretty much there now. I mean, like with our enterprise customers through our partners, like they are pretty much all DMARC compliant, and we've done thousands of those. It's a big
Mhm.
part of what we do. This whole taking people through the journey of getting DMARC, DKIM, SPF all correct and set up aligned correctly, and then monitored going forward. But the challenge again is with the SMEs, like they say, well, like, who's going to be targeting us? Like, who's going to be, and they don't realize actually it's not even just about security. First of all, because of AI, the first way I mentioned that the dreaded AI,
I
um,
know. We did
it,
well. We did well not to mention
we did,
it
we
till
did.
now.
It has democratized actual the threat attack vector. So before, really targeted attacks were only at the bigger organizations and organizations that had valuable content, like legal firms, etc., and healthcare, etc. And but now, because of AI, it's made it more of a kind of an automated machine, and they can target and targets, like, with great, like, quality and good quality phishing emails that are targeted at a company that will work out what staff are there, and how they communicate, what companies they work with, and do quite sophisticated phishing attacks based at much smaller organizations. And if they don't have those defenses in place, they are going to get compromised. And
Yeah.
so what we and the other issue a lot of smaller companies have is that, like, they do a lot of outbound mailing, and they don't realize that if they don't have DMARC compliancy, that policy equals reject, a lot of those emails, the open rates, first of all, the delivery rates are going to be really low. So they're
Yeah.
not, those emails are literally not being, are being ignored, put into spam or other folder in 365. And even if they do get through, the chances of them being opened are much less. So, because the reputation of the sender, them, is much less. So if they're actually DMARC compliant, policy equals reject, fully compliant, their emails will actually get to the people that want to see them, and there's much more chance of them being opened, especially if they implement BIMI, which is a kind of an extra thing you can do, where your logo actually appears beside the actual email. So again, it stands out a bit more. So it actually becomes nearly a sales and marketing, rather than a security issue at that level, because, like, suddenly we've seen a lot of customers actually get budget from the marketing teams rather than security teams.
Right. Oh, I did. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's something that I hadn't really considered before. But like you said, with AI and with everything that's changed, I know everything's always changed quickly, but I feel like now it's changing even quicker than it was before. Where are people kind of maybe struggling to keep pace with that, and where are you seeing most of that evolution happening?
Well, so I think, yeah, AI is, obviously everyone's using it. We're all using it in our day-to-day work. In our solution, we've actually done it, I think, quite a clever way. We've kept all our traditional ways of doing things, and we've layered AI as the last line. So after we've done all our stuff, then we let the AI stuff look at the behavioral things, the patterns, do, like, which what's really good for is doing on the fly kind of reporting and analysis, and even for emails, translating, like, like, say if an email was quarantined, like, actually translating that into layman's language, so the user can actually see, well, why it was quarantined, not that error code 501 or whatever, which nothing to them.
Right.
But they can actually look at, actually, this was quarantined because of this word or this content in this email, and so it makes it a lot more, and it helps their decision making, in whether they release that email or not. Now, also in companies, though, where they're using AI, even if it's outside of us, like, a lot of companies have implemented things like Copilot without any guardrails, and that's really dangerous, because if you don't have a ring fence to understand what data you can access, what you can do with it, all that kind of things. If an email compromise actually happens and Copilot is active on an account, that's lethal, because literally in seconds, the bad actor can actually look at that email account, see if there's anything interesting, like discussions about invoicing or procurement or payments and all that kind of stuff, payment details, and also see the tone of the emails between the people involved. and write a really sophisticated attack with
Yeah.
exactly the same language like that they would have used as Tony talking to John or whatever,
Yeah.
and so it would actually look and feel like because it is basically an identical email that they would probably send each other. And that attack has a really high chance of success because it will look and feel like a normal, like, conversation, email conversation between these two parties. So it's not just about us in the loop. It's actually the organizations themselves talking to their MSPs, and their
Mhm.
MSPs should be their trusted advisor on this, and telling them, like, how to use these tools, which are very, very powerful and useful, but they're also very immature and make mistakes and are dangerous as well, and actually implementing them correctly with the proper guardrails.
Yeah, and it's already a little bit scary with how much that they can do. So where do you see that evolving in the next couple of years? How terrifying is it going to get, do you think?
Well, it's interesting. When the Vatican are actually talking, when the Pope's actually talking about and warning us about AI, I
Yeah,
think that
that's when
makes
you
it.
know.
Well, yeah, because I'm at a conference, as I mentioned earlier, in Toronto at the moment, and
Yeah.
that actually came up. And one of the guys actually has interviewed the CTO of the Vatican, and
Right.
he said everyone thinks the Vatican is a really kind of stuffy and archaic organization. He said, from an
Mhm.
IT perspective, nothing could be further from the truth. Their finger is on the pulse. So they
Mhm.
probably have better intelligence than most governments around the world because they're
Right.
linked to everything, and
Mhm.
they see what's coming, and it's like he said, it's actually scaring them. So imagine, like, if they're seeing stuff that we have no knowledge of, like, yet, of the power
Yeah.
of what these things are. They're seeing stuff ahead of us. Yeah, they are quite scary times, and I think that's why, while I wouldn't, can't ban AI, but, like, you have to, again, go back to the guardrails thing, use it in a controlled manner, and I think it's kind of like the Wild West at the moment,
Yeah.
and and I think we just need to have some regulation. And I hate the word regulation because it then means compliance and
Mm.
something that's loads of paperwork and stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't think we can just leave it just proliferate and just see what happens. I think that's
Yeah.
probably too dangerous.
Yeah, I think everyone's struggling to find that balance at the moment, aren't they? Because if you're the one person that goes, okay, we're banning AI, we're not going to use it, then you're going to fall behind. It's the only
Exactly.
way that people are innovating now. So you just got to, yeah, find that
Yes.
balance that no one can figure out at the minute, I don't think.
No, I don't think if I had that crystal ball, I'd be a richer man than I am now. That's for sure.
Yeah, honestly,
Into that future. If I could.
yes, yeah. I feel like I could talk to you about this all day, but no, I won't take up any more of your time. So thank you so much for your time today.
Great. Thank you.